Stuart, from Manchester to North London, Sunday 4:30. I'm going to go to this. Tottenham host Arsenal. Do you know what? At what point in the season, Stuart, do the Gunners go from outside contenders to title favourites?
I think they're very close to it at the moment. I really do. They lost Jesus, and people thought, maybe that's going to be a real big blow. I think he'll be a miss, and has been a slight miss, but it's not knocked him out their stride in any way, shape or form. This is a big weekend. We talked the Manchester derby earlier. Yeah. The Manchester derby might be a great derby for Arsenal if they can do their work and do their business. But this game and this result will be a big guidance, I think, to see which way Arsenal are going. Next 5 games for Arsenal: Tottenham, Manchester United, Manchester City. Their credentials are there. If they get through that unscathed with a positive outcome, people would have thought they're nailed on.
Then we take them seriously.
I think we do. I do now.
Are they your favourites to lift the title?
I always like points in the bag. People are turning around. We're not at the halfway stage yet. I'm just looking at a 5-point gap. That 5-point gap could change quite dramatically. It could be an 8-point gap come Saturday night, Sunday night. So I like the points in the bag. I think they're a team. I don't think they've got as good a squad as probably, certainly as Manchester City. But a run for your money. They're going to be in the top 2, and they've got the points in the bag at this moment in time.
See, Simon, I keep on saying it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Granit Xhaka's attitude at the World Cup, when we caught up with him in our hotel, time and again told me a lot about where he is and where Arsenal are. Every time we chatted to him, which was quite a number of times, Stuart, he said, I'm really looking forward to getting back, though, even after this World Cup, because we're leading the league. And he epitomised this, all right, we're in this position, maybe we didn't expect to be there, but by God, we're going to have a tilt at it.
Well, he will embody that, because the sea change around him has been marked, hasn't it? In terms of he's gone from somebody that was on his way out of the football club, vilified by the fans, and attributed as part of this background noise behind Unai Emery's decline and the lack of discipline inside the football club. And then we talked about Martin Keown a few times, has been quite critical of how he's lost his head in games and left Arsenal a year ago. I grant you, how he's left Arsenal in an invidious position. But, the fella's a very erudite character and very strong, and he's a leader, and he leads when he plays for his country. He's now a component part, probably playing in the position that is best suited for him at Arsenal, and he's got some good players around him in a good side. Look, Manchester City, for me, whoever finishes in front of Manchester City will win the league. I have my reservations that anyone will finish inside Man City, and Arsenal have got to play Manchester City twice. So with that in mind, we will see. No one expected the decline in Liverpool that we've seen. And, Graeme Souness was on the show talking about the vision that arrived in his eyes about how they didn't have legs in midfield and how that was clearly evident. But it wasn't evident to Graeme at the beginning of the season, neither was it evident to anyone else. It became evident. It should have been evident to Klopp, perhaps. No one expected the decline in Liverpool that we've seen. No one's expected, perhaps, the slump that Chelsea are in. Tottenham are okay, but they ain't great. And Newcastle have arrived on the scene. So it's a strange Premier League right now. Fulham are in amongst the mix. Yeah. And that means there's an opportunity. So it wouldn't surprise me, because of the nature of the make-up and shake-up of this league, and the World Cup is in the middle of it, and all that falls out of that Arsenal would win the league. But if you're asking me to bet, and I know that my betting criteria at this moment, credentials at this moment in time ain't great, but the bottom line is I would still be putting my money on Manchester City. And it will take some changing of that. But if they go to Manchester City and they start beating Manchester City and cementing the nature of the 5-point lead, then there's something very different there, and increasing it, of course.
And we spoke about Chelsea losing 5 players, maybe more, and how it affects them. Arsenal, in the main, have had Smith Rowe's been out for a little while, and Jesus has picked up an injury. Apart from that, they've had no real injuries to speak of. They've done pretty well. If they can sustain that, all well and good. If they do have an injury crisis like Chelsea do, they'll drop away from it, I think.
Yeah. There's a great text, actually, from Ryan, a regular contributor to this show. Morning, Ryan. Asking me this, why is it always the next 5 games for Arsenal, then we'll take them seriously? We just have a lot more credit than you give us.
Because you haven't won a Premier League for 20 years. Shut up and sit down. Of course people are going to question your credibility. Yeah, if you're winning FA Cups, that's something to be made. And people are talking about, I saw a text message earlier on, I'll give you Arteta. Well, that's a slightly different dynamic, because Arsenal won the FA Cup in his first season. So the idea that you gave Arteta a little bit more time was based upon the fact they'd actually won something and maybe crossed that the sort of bridge that people might have suggested he wouldn't be able to cross. But, I look at it and say you've got to question Arsenal, because the power of spending that they're up against has something they haven't gone toe-to-toe for years. They haven't won the Premier League for a long time. They were in decline. The biggest growth in Arsenal was that ghastly Arsenal fan TV, because all they were doing was falling down on their own swords. And now they're back, and it wasn't so long ago that everybody turned around, and me included, said silence Stan and his preparedness to run a mediocre Arsenal side because they're an arm's length extension of an American business, just a subsidiary. But now Arsenal seem to have got themselves together as a football operation, got themselves together as a commercial operation. So there was serious conversation to be had here, but you've got to take it in bite-sized chunks. And winning the Premier League especially when you've got Man City still in very good nick.
No, that's a brilliant way to express it, actually. Bite-sized chunks, and I get that, Simon. But the fact that Arsenal are doing so well, has that made Conte's job more difficult, Stuart, in that neck of the woods? And now the two come together.
I think it does, yeah. I think there is that, well, they're doing worse than us, so it makes us look better than we actually are scenario.
And conversely, it made him look better last year because Tottenham nicked it away from Arsenal because Arsenal's declining the form. So conversely, he's got it both ways, hasn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think there's almost, I don't know, it might be a perfect storm this year for Arsenal, because Liverpool are not a resurgent, Chelsea are not resurgent, Manchester United, we're still to be convinced they are at this moment. So there's three of the big six that probably have not punched anywhere near their weight.
Will it come down to a two-horse race, a dogfight between City and Arsenal?
I think so. I can't see it any other way. I think I've been really impressed with Newcastle this year. I'm not sure that they're going to break the two of them up.
No,
but I certainly think it's Arsenal and Manchester City. I can't see anyone outside.
I'm going on
that.
Sunday. I think Arsenal will win at Tottenham.
Well, they certainly go in as the form side out the two. I can't see Tottenham beating them, but it's a London derby. And
if Arsenal win at Tottenham on Sunday, Stuart, it's 14 points between them and Tottenham.
That is...
And the Gunners have a game in hand.
Well, more importantly, it might be 8 points between them and Manchester City.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.